right, we're probably the favorites. We can afford to pull out one of the wacky drafts. Whether or not it's a the Raji Invoker remains to be seen. It's starting to feel like it though, because you've got the Sven, and we kind of saw Boom do this with their sort of lineup. So they have ways of buffing up the Sven with the Invoker. Now for Boom, it was still a core Invoker, but on the support Invoker, you can still do that. You can still get the Alacrity up. You can still be aggressive in lane with Sven +1, the Invoker control in lane. As long as you hit your level 2 spike, level 3 spike's really where it's comfy. Can be really strong. You have a stable stun on Sven. You have a lot of spells in the Invoker, Cold Snap, Ice Wall to kind of secure kills. So you can still play fairly quick, even on the safe lane here for SMG, and I think, again, Yangon has to be ready for that. They have these pickups with the Clinks, with the Clock, with the Earth Spirit. We need something in the off lane now that can kind of run around that Sven. I feel like the Bat Rider might have been a really good pick, but they ban it out themselves. They go with the Storm Spirit instead, so securing their mid matchup. I wonder what they're expecting for the Storm. Are they expecting the Tinker Mid or Invoker? Like, I'd say you have a decent enough time against both, although I say decent. Like, Tinker is going to be annoying. Invoker can hold the lane pretty well. I think you'd prefer to just play against the Invoker mid matchup. It's not as annoying as the mischances for him to Tinker, as the insane magic damage coming through. You will still have to watch for Afu's rotations. So I think Yangon has to be able to match that. We've seen how often Afu heads mid with a Shaker. The Clockwork and the Earth Spirit need to be ready to respond in kind.
Fair enough. I'm pretty sure, though, it's going to be mid-Tinker. I think Rogi will be taking that POS 5 Invoker. In fact, the last time we played POS 5 Invoker, I'm pretty sure it was with the position 1 Sven from mid 1. So, very reminiscent of that previous game. I think you still go offlane Bounty Hunter. I think offlane Bounty is the way to play it for SMG. Even with the Sven, you know mid 1 wants to get involved and start fighting early on, and the bonus track gold is always going to be really nice. Hell, we've seen it so many times. Like, it's so hard to play into BH Tinker, because he's always going to have vision of you, and he's going to keep spamming out rockets. Eventually, he'll buy the Aghanim Scepter, and then there's going to be 4 rockets flying out constantly. And it takes a little bit of time to come online, 10-15 minutes. But once you're at that point, it starts to feel impossible to really deal with. Now, mind you, SMG, they might look at the laning stage and think to themselves that BH doesn't look amazing. Against the POS 5 Clockwork, against the position 1 Clinks, you may feel like KP might struggle a little bit. I tend to disagree. I think KP, he'll soak XP, get a bit of gold for himself, and it's just all about hitting that level 6 timing. Get level 6, get your track up, just start being annoying. And YG, I'm not sure if they're expecting it, but I think it is going to be quite devastating for them if it does come out. And again, it's kind of a natural counter towards the Clink Skeleton Walk, and it is available to be taken right now if SMG do want to run it.
Yeah, they leave it in. Yangon, they opt instead to ban out the Venomancer from KP, which did a lot of work last game. So I can appreciate the respect ban, but there's still a ton of options for KP to play with, as you called. Bounty Hunter is still in the pool. I think the one worry with going Bounty here is really maybe control for the Storm Spirit. Like, he is fairly fast, fairly mobile. He can just zip out. You're relying a lot on Afu to land a good Fisher, and they go with the Tiny instead. So perhaps the core offlane Tiny, or maybe the core offlane Shaker if they want to on SMG. You can kind of flex it between that for KP and have the pause force switch around between those two heroes. So it's fairly open to close out. I believe it should just be the KP Tiny though, as Afu is just an absolute beast in Shaker. The rotations to mid are going to be really key to shut down the Storm early on before he has his level 6 spike. I think the Shaker is just a lot easier to do that on compared to Tiny. With his range and Avalanche, doesn't feel particularly amazing. So you can kind of run from there. The offlane matchup of Tiny versus Clink's safe lane, it's not too bad for Clinks. It still doesn't feel too bad for him. You do have really good physical damage. Tiny doesn't have much armor until Grow is up. So you should be able to kind of use your physical damage burst to pressure the Tiny a bit and get your own farm up. At the same time, it's almost the same story with the Bounty Hunter you talked about. Tiny just needs to soak till 6, especially in the offlane. You have enough on the rest of the team to kind of run and gun. You have the Fisher to set up the movement in. So you kind of just need to get that burst damage on hand and worry about the blink afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Last pick here for YG is going to be the Bloodseeker. Fair enough. Just a nice way of holding down the side of SMG, and it does allow the kiting potential there onto mid one. And in fact, it is going to be a Moon Tiny, and well, you were right in the beginning, John. KP off lane Tinker. So there you go. I can't say I'm happy to see it, because I'm never happy to see Tinker, but we'll see how he makes it work.
Yeah, I think off lane Tinker's probably the best spot for it. It's just so annoying to play against. How now his lane's just sort of messed up. Like laser spam's gonna be annoying. KP's just gonna be able to clear out the creep wave with the laser every time it's up. Once he hits level 6, he can always just reset himself at base, no problem. So probably gonna be more passive from KP. There are some kill opportunities with a shaker, but your initial burst damage without the refresh is rather low. So I think it should just be considering just harassing Hao, getting some early farm, and kind of trying to avoid rotations from the clockwork. Once you do that, you're fine. The Tiny mid is a little bit more active compared to the Tinker mid. I think against the Storm Spirit, we've seen Tiny pull ahead in some of those matchups, because the Storm Spirit early on does have to walk up to use Static Remnant to get his creep wave clearing. So that's something Tiny can punish, especially with an Earthshaker rotation. So I think Yangon has a lot to watch out for. They do have aggressive supports, but SMG does as well. That's always going to be a bit of a factor with SMG wanting to play fast nowadays.
Okay, fair enough. We'll head into it. Game number 2 between YG and SMG. Set to get underway. Let's see if YG can make this game a little bit closer than the last one was. I mean, 20 minutes GG call coming out last time around. Never going to be very fun for YG, but I do agree that the way that game was going, there was really no chance of a comeback happening. It's a really rough time for YG. Maybe this time around with the Clinks, though, they might be able to pull off this victory. As I think we saw yesterday from Dreammaker, they made the Pos 1 Clinks work in their second game. Just one of those heroes that's quite busted right now and can be very hard to fight into once he does have that initial farm up. SMG once again grouping up as a team and going through the mid lane. YG, last time around, they tried to go for the first blood. This time, they won't bother.
They did manage to get enough movement in that Moon has figured out there's a Obs ward on the ramp area. He did manage to ping it, so down the line, a sentry could fly in. Should block off some of that aggressive movement we talked about from Afu. So it's a heads-up ward to have. Very important to ensure that young PH is protected, but I'm not sure how long the ward will last, knowing that Moon already kind of has an idea as to where it is anyway.
Rock placed here from skill lane. Not going to amount to too much. Mid one. Not skilling up the stun yet. They thought about it, but ultimately will decide not to go in. And is that a 3-for-1 trade? It is. So YG getting a 3-for-1 this time around. Nice little gold boost for them to get things started. And we'll see how the lanes play out now. As Lun even in the mid lane blocking for young PH. Moon going to get the little bit of a better block. Not too much better, but definitely has that little high ground advantage going his way. And with this laning matchup of Tiny versus Storm, John, do you favor either one here?
I think we've seen the Tiny pull ahead in this matchup a couple of times before when it was more common. And it's simply down to the fact that young PH has to walk up to use Static Remnant. And Overload is pretty good harassment, but you are going to drain your mana pool a bit quicker. A Moon, as long as he's got the tree grab, has pretty good damage. Really stable way of clearing out the creep wave, securing his CS. Once you have levels up in the Avalanche and Toss, there's always the kill threat as well, which isn't as easy to pull off for a Storm. You're going to have to maybe invest in the Vortex. So I'd say Moon should have a good time, maybe up until level 4, level 5, 6, especially once Zips up. Should be a lot harder to hold down young PH.
Fair enough. Over the top lane, of course, you got Skill Lane and Zorain there again together on the Bloodseeker and Earth Spirit. Mid one going to be in the position 1 Sven. You have Rogi right now trying to go for a large camp pull to pull the wave back so mid one can farm a bit more safely. So they are going to try and roll in and get some harassment out onto mid one. Took one tier 1 tower hit, so some substantial damage, but ultimately mid one's going to be just fine. Make his way back over towards his own tier 1 tower as Rogi will try to protect the large camp pull that was happening, but Zorain and Skill Lane will just take over and start farming up that creep wave anyway. At the very least, though, mid one is able to farm a lot more safely for now.
Yep, it's still looking pretty decent here. You do have to watch the stun combination with the Blood Right. We've seen a couple of teams underestimate that damage output and is strong with a rotation mid.
Oh, nice no rotation in from skill A. Gonna amount to a kill as now Young PH does get cold snapped up by Rogi. He won't have the damage on his own. Moon will give the tip over to skill A, and that's just a respect tip. You know, appreciating the rotation out from an Earth Spirit player, and well, it definitely was a very important rotation to make. Just ensuring that Young PH is going to be off to a great start.
And it's what we talked about in draft. The support picks from YG did have to get more activity on early. Great rotation for skill A means that he hits level 2. He's going to have a good time building up now. The Urn shouldn't be too far off. That's going to be the important early game spikes for this hero. And again, if you land your combination on the Sven, he can get pressured out. So Zarain's still doing a good job of managing his matchup well enough. He's not lagging too far behind on mid 1. Raji, the support Invoker, does take quite a few levels to really be online. You do have some decent control options with Cold Snap and the Sven stun, but it's not really going to be enough to completely zone out the Bloodseeker in these early levels. So as long as YG maintains its aggression, should be okay.
Top lane, bit of a jump in on mid 1. He's already quite low. Rogi trying to protect, but they should be able to slowly chase him down. Skill A, he's out of mana and out of abilities to throw out, so ultimately mid 1 is going to survive on the Sven. They don't have any regen for him though. So he's in a bit of an awkward position now as Rogi's going to get chased down. Zorain has the bonuses because everyone's low HP this top lane, and they do get an Invoker kill in mid 1. He's still around trying to secure CS, but they'll get the Urn charge out. Zorain, he does not want to dive the tier 1 tower yet, but you have got skill A there with the roll available, and he might move in very soon as they've got another Urn charge available. Mid 1, gonna get earned up. Roll is there, but he does juke it out, but still Zorain just needs a couple hits off, but Cold Snap is there. Rogi is gonna protect, and eventually we'll have a salve out for mid 1. So definitely playing it a little bit greedy at that top lane for SMG, but it does end up panning out for him.
Just playing on the edge. Really good jukes out from mid 1 to prevent that further escalation, but you're still pretty strong in a Earth Spirit.
Nice pick off down to that bot lane. Lan does end up securing a kill on the Clockwork, and How's the one to take it on the Clinks. It's like Fu just got caught out the Cogs battery assault. Speaking of the bot lane, it does seem like things have been very good for KP at the very least on the Tinker. 21-4 in terms of CS, and just not really struggling here.
It's really easy for the Tinker to just kind of hold the lane. You've got good magical damage with the missiles and the laser. The miss chance and how is fairly annoying if you time it right. So kind of can make that Clink struggle for CS just a bit. You do lose your support, but overall you're still fine. The Clinks just wants, the Tinker just wants to hit 6, hit a maybe Soul Ring timing, just run around the map, start applying pressure that way. Some emphasis mid though.
Indeed, they've gone to the storm. Nerd, nice toss up, but Young PH, no, he will eventually drop. And a nice tornado from Rogi to allow Moon to get out as Lon. He could not break the distance. He does grab Rogi, but he's not going to have the damage nor the follow-up to actually be able to get the Invoker. So SMG narrowly avoiding a death there on Moon for the second time. And a great pickup onto Young PH.
And they needed that. They needed to stop that Storm Spirit from really building up, especially after that early death from Moon coming true. So the support rotations do match up. Love to see that YG is also willing to toss these supports in though. Although,
again, he just TP'd back into the fount, or rather the mid lane, but is going to drop again. Moon able to secure a second kill here onto Young PH. Oh, he's going to have to make the walk of shame back now, and it's really great play from the supports of SMG. Just understanding that he's so close to that level 6 mark on the Storm. Just about one creep away, in fact. But they kill him twice before he reaches that mark.
I think the big thing that enabled that was their River Ward. They saw the Clockwork sneak up for the Bounty Rune instead and managed to know that it's only one support to save. Up top now as well, Zorain.
Yeah, another great rotation. Zorain going to try and blood right his way out of this one. Will connect the Salds, but Toss is there. Still, he did have raindrops. That'll block most of the damage, and Zorain will be able to get out with his life intact. We'll have to make his way back to the fountain. And of course, in the meantime, mid 1 has taken over the CS board. 36 and 11 on the Sven. Like Zorain decides to stick around, and mana is there. Mid 1, he does Tread Switch and does have the God Strength up. They will be able to secure another kill there on the Sven. In the end, Zorain kind of just getting outplayed by the tread switch and the wand usage of mid one. Meanwhile, mid lane, Fu, he will drop to young PH, but he's basically out of mana. He'll use the last of it to zip away, but Roger's going to get the vision, and Moon is going to be on the chase. In fact, they even have KP TPing in. Nice toss in from mid one. He just needs the mana for the avalanche, and eventually should connect it, but now Moon, he could be in trouble. Skill Lane going to move in, and will sacrifice his own life to allow the Storm to get himself out. Moon, he might drop. Zorain gonna chase him down. Moon, toss back into young PH. Cold Snap is there from Rogi. They're still trying to fight this one out. KP does drop in the Tinker, and now Rogi, he will be chased down, and they might even be able to get Moon. In fact, never mind, because mid one is there to block him off, but Zorain is completely ignoring the Sven. Still just trying to get the last hit off, but the Stormhammer is going to land, and Moon somehow survives, but there's more helping coming. Lun is there with a rocket flare, but at level 1 rocket flare, it wouldn't even be enough damage, so Moon is going to be just fine. A real mess in that mid lane.
You still win out there for YG. You get a 3-for-1 trade in the end. You manage to kill off that Tinker in the off lane. KP did manage to help with that initial kill. Does kind of fall flat in the follow-up. So overall, I think YG still fairly happy about how that ended up. Managed to just waste some time on Moon, get a little bit more space out for the Clinks to keep trying to farm up. How on that Clinks already has the Javelin. Still a rough lane, as you can see. KP and Moon are just willing to be aggressive already, and they're going to look for that push now. 3 heroes bot, mid one's down here as well. Shouldn't take too long. The side of YG sort of have the heroes up top. It's mainly just Zalrain right now. I feel like he's going to need a Clinks to really get a fast push going and go for that tower trade.
Roger's going to be at that top lane to just make sure it does get at least a little bit defended. Naturally, he does want those levels, that solo experience, but Roll is going to be there. Skill Lay off the mark with that Roll, and Roger will just preemptively use the Ghost Walk to make sure they could not suss him out. There is no dust available, nor there is there sentries for the side of YG, apart from Lun, but it's already too late. Roger's going to be just fine. Still, YG should be able to slowly chip away at this top tier 1. But in the meantime, it does seem like SMG want to set up for that mid tier 1 tower. And even maybe snipe young PH here on the Storm as Fisher. It's not going to be in time. Fu just not finding the angle he wanted. And Moon unable to break the gap in time to get the avalanche toss off.
Yep, it's that exact same timing we've seen SMG do every single time, though. They take the bot tier 1, they go immediately onto mid, they give up their top, and they just force the fight here.
Now Roger, nice tornado EMP, and now they just lock him down to get the EMP off. KP, the one to take the kill with the rocket flare, or rather just the rocket. Now they move north. Lun, he was spotted dewarding. Fu has the Fisher up, will connect it quite nicely, and Moon will try to break the gap here. Kong's gonna block the way, but rockets are still flying out. Lun, it's gonna be okay, but Rogi now is on the chase, right behind him. And these rockets, all he needs is to give vision to KP, toss in for Arfu, Echo Slam committed, and they will be able to secure another kill here for Moon on the Tiny.
Now, they're just racking up the kills now on SMG's part. For the side of YG, they've got to be careful about really just even showing his 1. Once the numbers are there from SMG, they will just run down. Mid though, mid 1.
Skill A gonna get jumped on mid 1. He'll get the team fight started. Roll, not gonna be blocked off. Ran all the way to the edge to make sure they could not block him. But Moon, he's gonna still move in with that smoke up. You know they love picking on young PH. Roger's going to scout him out. Tornado EMP's there. Moon, can he break the gap in time? He'll wait. No, in fact, he cuts him off. Avalanche toss is pretty darn perfect, but young PH still going to get away, and now Lun's going to hook shot in. And he's got help there, so Roger shouldn't really die, but Lun is still going to keep moving to try and at least get 1 kill. But ultimately is going to die. It's the rest of SMG. They'll accept the 1 kill they get. And it looks like they will try to at least get some decent damage off onto this mid-tier 1 tower.
They pop the God's Strength, so there's a lot of damage on mid 1. Fortify is forced out. YG, they're going to have to defend this 4 as they're still trying to get more space for Hal. He does have the Maelstrom up, but Klinks is probably not ready to join in. Wants the Dragonlance first for some HP, although...
Oh, Avalanche Toss. Zorain already losing half his HP. Now Young PH bringing mid one in, back into the Blood Ride. Great little play there from our Storm Spirit. Some nice synergy between him and the Bloodseeker. And they got the best kill they could have asked for. They got the Pos 1 Sven.
Yeah, it's a combination we didn't quite point out, but there is the Rupture Kick. So you can kind of just try to line up in a big target, force them back. The Sven is still easily kiteable at this point in the game. No BKB, no blinks up. So not much to worry about in terms of disengage on the side of YG. And you do manage to get the punish. Their mid-tier 1 still stands. How is still farming. Net worth lead of SMG is not massive. Less than 1k going your way. And they did lose their number 1 in net worth. So YG's got room to catch up with. How is within 100 gold of that Sven. Again, with the Maelstrom up, once the Dragonlance is up as well, it's going to be very tanky, especially with the Death Pact buff. It's going to be able to start hunting down some solo heroes like Afu right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Just delay that blink dagger timing. Afu going to try and survive, but won't be able to. In the meantime, though, they got Zorain on the Bloodseeker. So still a positive trade the way of SMG. And that mid-tier 1 tower is going to drop. YG, they don't have any defense. So a very favorable trade, in fact, towards SMG.
I don't think they'd mind losing the pause for the mid, as that will open up more avenues of aggression here in the bot jungle, even into the triangle. Opens up Roche a little bit more for SMG if they want to go that route. You do have the Echo Saber up on mid 1 with a Mask of Madness, so they could maybe consider Roshan when they've got the God Strength back up and just walk in, get the damage off. For now, not too much pressure. There are good wards from the side of YG though. They're monitoring the top jungle really well. They've got a ward between the tier 1, tier 2 mid. So if they do want to go for a smoke play, it could kind of pan out.
Oh, mid lane, Hal cannot afford to die. We'll be able to skeleton walk out. He's got the Maelstrom up now, so his farm is going to start to really go crazy on this Klinks, and you already see him just hanging around that triangle. Still behind mid 1, but I think he will catch up very, very quick on that Klinks. Only about 300 gold behind anyway, so not really too far. And I wonder, I mean, again, we saw Dreammaker make this Klinks work yesterday. I wonder if YG can kind of repeat the similar performance that Dreammaker could. I'd say they're not off to too bad of a start. I mean, it's a very similar kind of game. Hookshot, top lane's going to find Afu, and they will continue to delay the blink dagger timing of Afu, and that's exactly what you want to do against the Pos 4 Earthshaker. And he's been so close to that blink dagger, but he's still so far at the same time. He's now top lane, mid 1, ruptured up. Skill A wants to kick him away, but the chances are there. He does get the boulder smash. Mid 1, taking a lot of damage, but is going to survive as now they turn onto Lun. And Moon is going to intercept onto Zorain. He's going to be alright on the Bloodseeker to run his way out. But SMG, they get 2 support pickoffs. They'll be more than happy with that.
Yeah, it's a nice set of kills. Really good setup with mid 1, just acting as the bait there. You still win out in the trades. You can still keep pressuring this bot tier 2 almost. Creep wave is going to be dying fast, the Bloodseeker though, but mid 1, knowing Rupture's down, it's not going to be fair. However,
that's a great kill. When Young PH, once he gets Tornado EMP'd, as long as Moon times the Avalanche Toss correctly, which is, I mean, it's pretty hard to mess it up. You just got a guaranteed kill there on Young PH. He's got nothing like raindrops to try and block any of the damage, and quite frankly, even if he had the raindrops, it probably wouldn't be enough at this stage, because all his mana's just disappearing to the EMP of Rogi. It's definitely tough times. Does seem like all the focus is going to be back on Hal to really pull off this game for YG, and again, he is farming very well. Still only 300 gold behind mid 1. He's going to start working towards that Iron Skadi now.
The stats are going to be good. The healing reduction is going to be really helpful as well. I'm surprised that Hao has just been happy enough to kind of wait for more items before forcing the fight. I feel like with a Maelstrom and Dragonlance, that's already pretty good timing to join your team, but it does look like, considering the state of the game, that's the best you can hope for in YG, because your Storm, well, he does have the Orchid flying through, so there is more tools to play with. But so far, they've only been really able to kill off Afu. Like, he is currently 4 of the 9 deaths, or the 9 kills that YG has taken. Speaking of Afu, his blink is up. This could be the time for a big smoke up.
Mid lane. Oh, nice run of Atos. They got Moon on that Tiny. He needs help right here, right now. And there's your Echo. Afu, he will save them again. I mean, you still got Moon down, but it's really a great blink reveal out from Afu. And this is when things get very scary for YG, is they've always got to be wary of where this man is. At least they won't have to worry about it for the next 2 minutes, but again, even just with the fishes, he's going to be very, very annoying as hell. Going to spot him out now. Rod of Atos to hold him down with the Blood Rite. And that should be enough to finish him off, but Mid One is there to try and help with the God Strength. He'll go into Zorain, and they've got the Bloodseeker. Onto the side, Rogi in the cogs, but it won't matter as he is able to outrun Lun. They do secure another kill, this time on the Clockwork. And it seems though SMG, they want to get started on that Roshan pit.
They've got the Alacrity up, God Strength up for a little bit more. There are some good ways of trying to contest, but skill lay.
Yeah, he gets caught out. Avalanche toss is there, and that'll be enough. Moon, he'll finish off the job. That'll definitely allow Mid One to have his way with Roshan in peace. And having these supports just kind of nudging away at him. Still, TPs are up. Lun? Well, doesn't actually TP up. He doesn't have the hook shot available. He's going to eventually get there, but without the hook up, it's going to be rather hard to fight this one out unless they can delay it. But Afu's in. They rupture up Mid One. It's just not going to be enough. He picks up the Aegis. And I don't think you can really force a fight here for YG as Moon. He found young PH again. Lun's off the mark with the hook. And now you've just got to run. You have got to run ASAP as the cavalry is incoming. KP gonna blink right in. Will force staff away. Afu's there with the Fisher, and now Moon jumps in with the Avalanche and the toss combination. And they blow up Hal. Zlan, he's not gonna be too safe either. There's not really a great way out for him. He's almost certainly gonna be gone. Mid One will pick it up.
They just take everything they could possibly ask for in SMG's end. YG, not quite in the proper position to contest a Roshan. I think if Skillay didn't die earlier on, you might have had a chance to play with a roll and maybe try to angle for the hook shot if it wasn't off cooldown still.
Roll in. Run of Atos and Bloodrite is out onto Moon, so a lot of damage on this Tiny, but Young PH is going real deep for this. It may cost him his own life, and it does. They do eventually get Moon, but is it going to be worth it at the end of the day? I don't know about that, John. Skillay, he's going to drop to boot. And I suppose in the end it is a 2-for-2 trade, so you could make the argument YG should be somewhat satisfied with that. But Mid One, he's still cleaning up. He's pulling way too far ahead in net worth now. And it's just going to get scarier and scarier as time goes on in this game too.
Yeah. They've got the scaling on SMG's side, so the fact that they're ahead early is all really good news. I think YG's got the lineup that plays a lot faster on paper. Like the Clinks feels like it should hit an earlier spike, and that spike was with even just a Maelstrom. We didn't see the side of YG play around with that combination. They were too far behind in their other cores. There's a 7k lead now for SMG at the 20-minute mark. They've got a lot of utility on hand, and KP's got the Force Staff to save anyone caught out. We've seen that in play a couple of times now as well. Even the defense matrix just slows down that initial burst from YG. So there's a lot you have to work with their supports, with a Storm Spirit and jumping out. You might want to have to delete KP or Afu first, as they're the most annoying heroes to really deal with.
Top lane, Zorain going to be in danger. Fisher does catch him, but Mid One going to be blocked off. Still, the rockets are continuing to fly out from KP. This Observer Ward going to be a real problem now for YG, as KP is going to have all the vision he needs to keep the rocket spam going. You're going to need a D-Ward ASAP, and Lun, he'll get to it. You can't allow those to stand.
Yeah. Just way too much coming through with the rocket artillery from KP. They are still slowly applying pressure in the top, though. They leave Mid One to get that done. They're trying to punt around the map. YG are trying to play in the bot triangle area. They do get, again, decent farm on How. Still catching up. Has one ultimate orb up. Has the money for another. Although...
Yeah, zip in, but it's not going to be great. Echo is there to hold him down. Young PH, he's not dead yet. He'll zip all the way out. The Skilllay's going to roll in. Trying to give more vision for his Clinks, but seems like Hal is out of it. Fu, he might die. In fact, they got two. The Magnetize proving to be enough. Meanwhile, the top lane is being split pushed as all this is happening. Rogi does get caught, but what are they going to get in response? Mid one, he's just ratting out the top lane, and young PH, he is out of mana, so mid one, he'll get right to work. Will they have enough damage? You bet your ass they will, as now they'll have to leave. Mid one, he still has the Aegis, but it may bait them in. No, it looks like he's going to escape with the Aegis intact. I suppose in the end, a decent enough team fight for YG down at that bot lane. They won't even lose the tier 3 tower at that top lane, so nothing really being taken away here from YG.
Yeah, they hold on for now. It's still a bit of an opening coming out from them. They do manage to get the targets that we were looking for them to kill. In taking out KP, taking out Afu, does make it a bit more awkward for SMG to look for the re-engage, despite having more heroes down mid. They can't afford to take the risk. That's most of their control. That's most of their disruptive capability on those two heroes. So I think for SMG's part, they've got to be maybe a little bit more conscious about where Afu's at, where KP's at, how far forward they go. But as long as they do that, they've still got the 7k lead. They've got a lot to play with. The Echo Slam is still down for half a minute, so they're going to have to wait for that before going aggressive, but they will go for a smoke play anyway.
Yep, smoke up. Mid lane is going to be a counter smoke out from YG now. Scan is going to be really on point here. They got SMG, they know where the location is, but how do you go up the high ground? Well, they won't. It's SMG, still looking for a target. Zorain going to be spotted. Avalanche toss is there, and they'll have plenty of damage with Moon. More than enough. There's mid one. He's already on the high ground, just blinking right into that tier 3 tower. No fear in the world. Eventually we'll back out as Afu, a very cheeky location in the tree line. He has not been scouted out here. I don't believe they have any idea unless young PH checks. Afu waited out the right moment, and there you go. There's the Echo Slam. They will get the silence though. The follow-up will not be there from mid one. Now Vortex is out. They'll try to focus on Fu. A great Magnetize will be enough to take him down. And mid one, he'll be forced to BKB TP and will make it out. But KP will not be so lucky. So YG, they do successfully defend. They do get 2 kills for their trouble. And it was all off the back of that silence from Skill A. Just making sure they could not perma-stun the heroes that were echoed up. Had that not happened, John, I think they would have just wiped them.
Yeah, it really heads up play from our Earth Spirit this time around. Great response coming through from YG to punish that overextension on the bot lane. I think if SMG had the Aegis still running, they might have been more willing to have mid one take a riskier position, try to use 2 lives to get more kills, but they didn't have that luxury. It did expire earlier on, so they're going to have to wait for the next Roshan to maybe have a clearer shot at the high ground. It is still a minute and a half until we see when that does respawn. For now, mid one is saving up for his full Swift Blink, so he's going to be hitting like a truck once he does gap close with a blink. It's going to be even harder to put a handle on that Sven. On the side of YG, you are still getting that build up on your Clinks. Scotty's up, BKB to follow. BKB still a ways off, but that spell immunity is just so important. Once you do have the BKB, you're not worried about the Tinker, you're not worried about the Invoker, you're not worried about the Tiny, even the Sven stun and the Shaker. So it just allows that Clinks to play the way it wants to play up front, to get its damage off with Burning Barrage. We're going to need to see that soon. Once that timing is met for YG, they do have even more tools for the high ground defense, which has been a bit of a challenge for SMG.
SMG smoked up again. Just Moon and Rogi going to run through that mid-river. We're going to find Lun just about to break the smoke. Seems as though they don't want to try and pick up the clockwork, especially near that triangle. Could be counter initiation opportunities for YG if they're not too wary of that. Because they're starting to really respect the damage flying out from Hao now. He's hitting a lot harder with that Burning Barrage. Mid one. Is that the Daedalus or the Swift Blink? It's going to be the Swift Blink coming out for mid one, so he might be ready to go again with his team. May see the call out very, very soon from him. You can see SMG, they're constantly checking that Roshan pit. But it is going to be about 50 seconds away.
They can just shove out the lanes, maybe get some vision out. You can see YG's vision is pretty good now around the triangle area and around the pit ramp, so they should have a general idea of when the Roshan happens. They've got Rocket Flare to play with. SMG might need to commit a smoke to really get a free Rosh. They are just keeping, again, the bot lane shoved in. They're forced to fortify. So if you do manage to win the team fight, it should be really easy to clear out these objectives. YG's got to be a bit careful, but we've seen them in the high ground before. But all the AoE they've got, they can kind of counteract. And you even spot the smoke with a Rocket Flare, I think, on the edge.
I love how KP's just literally giving everyone defense matrix as they jump in. That's a lot of damage mid one. Oh, the Rupture kickback was more than enough as now they want more. KP, he gets stuck in the tree line and they should be able to lock him down long enough to secure the kill. In fact, a great roll in from Skillay and another kickback into Rogi. Another great roll out. Does catch out Moon. I'm not sure if they can even see him, but they know he's there somewhere. Zip in. Dust is finally going to come out. They've got him. Great plays. Oh, Echo Slam Afu. He finds 4 of them. Is he going to be able to clean anyone up, though? Not quite. He only got Skillay. It's still great plays from our Earth Spirit, John, just making it all happen.
Yeah, it's just a bit greedy from SMG. They saw the fortify. They felt like they could have taken the team fight and just go straight for the jugular, taking out the objectives next. Now YG has an opening for Roshan. How's in there with the double damage as well. So he's got the damage to melt through Roshan. Rosh number 2, free Ag Shard coming out as well. So you could maybe hand that over to your Storm, maybe hand it over to probably your Earth Spirit's your best choice if they do hold on, but I don't know if they will pocket it. Still, SMG respawns are up. They know Rosh is happening.
Well, Lon, he's about to just die to the Urn Charge and does eventually tick out. However, how? Whoa, Shards. How? Almost forgot about him. Does eventually take it for himself. He's already got the Shards active for himself, so I wonder who he does hand it over to.
There you go. It's going to go to our Earth Spirit. They drag the courier. They can't pass it to the courier.
Oh.
So he's going to have to hold on to it for some reason. Yeah, that's strange. Can't pass it to an allied courier. Still, SMG still clumping around mid. This is a fight into ages. It could be
oh, here we go. They've got the Bloodseeker. Afu setting up mid 1. He won't even second guess it. He's just right in. Now the mid tier 2 tower set to fall. SMG not to be dissuaded after that last team fight. Still want to go high ground. And that they will. Back down to the bot lane. For the 3rd time, they'll try. Zip in. It's going to be there. Young PH. Let's get 1. Mid 1 losing a lot of HP already. Will be forced to BKB up and back off. Now the roll in against Skillay. Great roll. Does find mid 1. And they are going to zip right through and get the kill. Now a 3-man silence out from Skillay once again. Raji and KP are both down and Afu. He just needs to run. But he cannot do so. And Moon, the last piece of the puzzle, has been found here by Lun. I'll tell you, John, Skillay, he's just doing a fantastic job on this Earth Spirit.
He's just setting up for his team. It's going to be even harder to pin him down now with his fresh BKB from the back of that fight. SMG, they've lost a 6-7k lead in a snap. Right after those 2 back-to-back fights. YG is well and truly online now. They've got the items to play around with. Their Storm hits like a truck. Their combination with the Rupture is on point. And SMG, they don't have the best protection for that. Like, the BKB is there, sure. Rupture doesn't really care for the BKB. Will stop the kickback, but you have to be conscious about the BKB use now on mid 1. YG, really great high ground defenses coming through from them. We talk about this every time, but when you've got a Bloodseeker and an Earth Spirit, you can't really just ignore that combination. Sure, it is not commonly seen. I mean, you don't tend to see that be the entire emphasis of your fights. But if it is, it's a lot of really good scaling damage. Like, just by how Rupture works.
Catch out on Young PH. Orchid is going to be there. Skillay going for the roll, but he's gone way too deep. Does have a BKB, and he's going to pop the Magnetize. He's going to force a team fight again. Raji is going to tick out to the Magnetizers. Mid 1 has been locked down. Skillay still alive. Moon's going to move in, though, and finish him off. Get rid of that pesky Earth Spirit. Now mid 1, he's out of BKB. And he is trapped up with the Rupture and is going to go down a second time as now Rogi is going to try and run on the Invoker. Zip in from Young PH. They've got another. He just starts another team fight. I think it was a misroll out from our Earth Spirit, but he pumps the BKB. They couldn't get the kill fast enough. And YG eventually make their way over. At the very least, they do catch out Lun as well. But it's still a great team fight out for YG.
They make it work, and it's all off the back of skill lay. Just so hard to deal with the BKB up and running on this Earth Spirit. Just very slippery. SMG has no hole to pierce through that. And his control, his silences are on point. It forces Mid One to use his BKB early to try and get the kill, to avoid the kickback while he's ruptured up. That meant when the rest of the team did collapse on top of him, he had no spell immunity. So it's a lot easier to manage that. Sven, SMG, they're behind now. 30-30 at 33 minutes in, almost. 3k lead for YG. Now top of the net worth board. Going for his full Daedalus next, and he does have the gold for it. So damage output of Clinks is way up top now. And Young PH has been doing really well with the silences. Afu.
Oh, nice blink up, roll. Oh boy, that was a millimeter away from connecting on the high ground. Moon is going to back off. No detection to spot him out. And SMG, I think they realize how careful they have to be in this game number 2. There's now even a gem being bought out here from Skill Lay, so you are going to have that detection for the Shadow Blade of Moon. And he'll have to be even more careful now. That Silver Edge just won't be a guaranteed kind of sneaky way to get himself into the team fight any longer. Oh, Skill A, he's going for the Ags up as well, John of the Earth Spirit. This is the Ags I love to see coming out. SMG. Go for a reset. Double damage going to be spotted out by Mid One. Roshan is not up. They'd love to have a fight right now with this DD rune, but they're not going to be able to get it done. Just nobody's showing on the map from YG at the moment. Smoke
for SMG. For SMG's part, I think the farm distribution is starting to fall a bit flat. Like KP has not progressed past the 4-staff and blink. He does have the Lotus Orb now, so it's a bit more helpful. But they're lacking damage and utility on this Tinker. Like, they don't have the Ags up for the stacks on Laser with the HP reduction. Makes it a lot tougher. They are going to try with a smoke and playing out, but you have a good position here on YG.
Zorain be there. Oh, Rod of Atos is there. They had the sentry down. Rupture out as well. Moon gonna get hook shot. Lock him down. Sunray off the mark, but Vortex is there. Young PH, he's jumped in, and they'll go right after KP. They've got him down, and Moon, he'll drop as well. Mid One, he'll try to man fight on his own, and does get Young PH, but can he keep it up? Skill Lay, he's been caught out as well. Fisher to lock them down. They need to back now, YG. They're losing a lot of heroes as Afu. He's in with the Echo Slam, but it's not enough. There's no follow-up. Mid One, he's too low on HP. Zorain, he'll go after it. The man fight, it won't be enough for SMG. They've lost 4 heroes for the price of 2. The only one out is Rogi. And he's going to be alright with the Ghost Walked, it seems, as he will walk back towards the base. But it's another positive team fight for the side of YG.
It's surprising SMG forced that fight into the high ground. Moon walking up there, just revealing them their position. They had the sentries down to watch him. And they get the punishment off. YG, they just keep finding these openings. They blast the game open. They go onto the high ground. Their Clinks does so much damage up front. And SMG just doesn't have the sustain in a straight 1v1 fight now. Do pop the Fortified, or are buybacks ready to go if they want to, but they prefer not to pop them, of course. YG, maybe after a set of racks, could just pull back, go for a Roshan if they wanted to.
KP, be very careful how just hitting so hard with that Burning Barrage. They toss out on Rogi, who'll force staff away. KP gonna move in, but now the roll, it's not gonna be on target this time, and the Magnetize will also miss. But they got the melee barracks that they wanted. And that's gonna be enough for them. They won't try to overextend. They've got an AK net worth advantage. They'll try to hold on to it at least for now.
They can just wait out the next Roshan. Very quick one as well. Just about 40 seconds max respawn. So they've got a good position to take it. They've got the mid lane that will naturally shove in. They've got the damage to clear out Rosh. SMG, they need to be extra cautious. Like, I feel like a lot of this stems down to how poor KP is on the Tinker. It's just not having impact anymore, especially with the BKBs up and running. He's behind in farm compared to Zalrain, even behind Skillay's farm right now. Has the Lotus Orb, that's his highest item. Like, he doesn't have Ags, he doesn't have Dagons, he doesn't have a Hex, nothing like that to really give them the control advantage on SMG side. And because of that, the Tinker almost feels like dead weight coming through here from SMG. It just doesn't provide him enough in the fights, and it's very tricky for KP to find a good position in these fights without the Ags as well. Laser range isn't amazingly big, so you can't even just spam that to try to get the blinds constantly up on Hal.
It seems it's all about just spamming our defense matrix right now, but you are lacking a lot of value just using that. Because it's all he can do right now to keep his team safe. However, Roshan is going to be scattered out. Hal, he'll get started. And it's not going to take too long with that Daedalus up, but it seems though they are aware. Moon, he'll move into that mid-racks. They're going to try and wrap them out and force a response, but the Roshan is still going down. Rupture's out. They got the tier 3 tower. And SMG, they're going to wait it out as the Roshan is still dropping and YG is still trying to get it down. Hal will eventually get it, but mid one, he's going to force the bot tier 3 tower and does at least get a few towers down before they retreat. YG, they might find Moon. Moon, he'll BKB avalanche toss up onto young PH, and now here comes the rest of the team, but they need to probably retreat here as the hookshot is there. Roger's been caught out. Mid one, he gets bursted down by the burning barrage again. Vortex through Roger. He gets caught out again on the Invoker. And they might lose more. Moon, he's been scattered and Lun. What a great blind hookshot in the tree line. They've got the Tiny. He will not be able to escape. They've got the damage out and they'll get a third kill on the side of YG. They're just getting everything, John. Absolutely everything.
Yeah, they're finding the kills they need. They're just playing really well. I was surprised SMG just opted to go for tier 3s instead of trying for at least a lane of racks. I think in the end, they're not going to be able to get the creep equilibrium they'd want. There's an open access point mid for YG to try and go for the end. There's no buybacks on SMG, at least on that Sven and the course that are the heroes that are currently dead. So there's an opening here for YG to just play aggressively. There are pinks coming out for the bot tier 2 though. Maybe they want to just clear out all the outer towers, go for mega creeps, play it safe. They do have the 11k advantage, no need to rush. SMG, they're just lacking presence in the fights. They don't have anything to block the single target spell use as well. I think a value Lincolns might have helped the cause here, especially if they just pump it onto, say, mid one to prevent the rupture. That's a big issue. If he gets ruptured up, the Sven just can't do anything.
They've been forced the BKB up early, but rupture is there. That'll hold down the Shaker. They will try to help him out, keep him safe. They need the Echo Slam for this team fight. Mid one, he'll be back up in 3 seconds, and Moon up in 10. Bloodright can be out on Rogi, but he will force staff out. Still, YG able to get a secondary lane of barracks. However, jump in, mid one, he'll try to shred him down, but how? He's going to heal all the way back up with that Satanic, and the Man Piper gives mid one. He can't win this one. He's going to die again, and he's still got no buyback. This game could be over. Ronovatos is out. They do take down Rogi, and now they've got the Earthshaker, and the GG has been called. YG, they pick up their first victory of the BTS Pro Series Season 8 group stage against Team SMG, and they've got to be feeling good about that one.
Yeah, they played amazingly well. It was a bit of a slower start for YG. You know, it looked like SMG. They were getting everything. They were pushing the high ground. They were pressuring the tier 3s, especially down bot. They chose to take that fight into the high ground. I think it was the third attempt you mentioned. It's the third time they were reaching the high ground. They got punished again, all down to that combination with a rupture and kickback. So they get control in mid one. He had no way of blocking the rupture. There was no Lincolns at all in this game. And he just constantly managed to punish that Sven. Like, once you rupture a Sven, he can't do anything. He can't really run around. The damage and rupture scales into the late game really nicely. And off the back of skill lay, really just built off that initiation, built off that control, managing to make it work. So YG show up. They show us they shouldn't be underestimated as a team, as they do manage to bring the Titans of SMG down. SMG, for their part, they went into this draft. They went into the Tinker off lane, and a Shaker, into Clockwork. Like they even went for the Invoker pause 5, which can kind of start to lag behind, but they did go into some strong counter picks that YG had on hand and just enabled them to kind of have that comeback opportunity from the draft.
Yeah, really splendid series here between SMG and YG to get us started for the day. Of course, we are going to have MG Trust against Army Geniuses coming up next, and that should be a fun matchup. Always fun between these two teams, as they know each other very, very well, and it generally does always pan out to be a close series and couple games. So it is MLP johnxfire. We're going to head to about a 15-minute break, and right after that break, we're going to be back with our second series of the night.